Good afternoon. It's my honor and privilege to welcome you to yet another edition of the BW Education Wednesday Wisdom. We're today talking about the business school of the future. What will it be? Will it be a business school on the cloud? Will it be a business school that could include the new curricula, for example, sustainability, continuity planning, crisis management, entrepreneurship? Will B schools bring more faculty from the industry? Will B schools invest more resources in softer areas and technology than just buildings? These are the issues we will talk about. We have a very, very eminent panel to discuss this today. Let me start in no particular order. Dr. Adya Sharma will join us. Mr. Nitish Jain, who's the president of SP Jain, will join us. Dr. Anil Somani will join us. Dr. Biplav Biswal will join us. Dr. R.K. Jain will join us. Mr. Navneet Sharma will join us. These are people you know, they come from your community, so really they don't need long introduction. I will ask each of the panelists to make a quick introduction of 2 minutes, go around the house and then do a discussion. So let me start with Dr. Adya Sharma. Dr. Sharma, what will be the business school of the future? Give us your opening comments.
Thank you, Dr. Anurag. And first of all, thank you to you and your entire team for giving me this opportunity to be here today. And namaskar and good afternoon to all the other distinguished panel members also. My opening comment on what the B schools would be there in the future. Well, I go back to though we are talking about the future, I go back to the age-old saying that change is the only constant thing in this world. And therefore, for these schools to not survive, but do absolutely well in the coming years, we need to change. We need to change at different levels. Faculty, students, infrastructure, the whole thinking somewhere has to undergo a huge change. And most probably, let me just leave it over here because you had told me to be crisp and just tell it in a line or so. And we'll discuss more points as we proceed with further discussion.
Thank you. Thank you for being so brief. We'll come back. Also, what are you doing in your educational institution? That's your reference point while you look at what other institutions are doing. So there's no harm in mentioning what your schools are doing. Let me at this point bring in Mr. Nitish Jain. Mr. Nitish Jain, your opening comments.
Thank you, Anurag. I look at it in two parts. The business school of the future in the near future, which I'll define in the next 5 years, and post 5 years. So in the near term, I think that video conferencing would take a big, huge leap forward. And this may lead to different formats, conferencing and the on-site learning. So this is something that I feel would be done in the future. SP Jain is one of the leaders when it comes to the online space because we have developed a new technology called ELO, and this replicates a classroom virtually. So if you look at other technologies like Zoom or Google, etc., they are largely designed for office meetings. But our technology is for classroom use. So a professor can actually see all 60 students, if there are 60 in the classroom, and make eye contact. He can actually go up to a student and talk to that student virtually. And this, I think, is something that we're very proud of. It's really worked superbly for us because our students, if they go to it even once, say, please don't give me Zoom, just give me ELO, because it is really better. So that's in the near term. And in the future, learning will become very, very different. I even foresee robots teaching, because the technology of robots has improved to such a huge extent, and China is one of the leaders in robotics. So we are actually at SP Jain, we are already studying how can robots teach students. And I think in 5 years from now, that is very likely to happen. And they can customize their learning for every student. Thank you.
Thank you for emphasizing the role of technology. We'll come back. How do professors compete with those robots? Because talking to a camera is not just like, talking. Teaching is a whole new. For example, a small thing. My teachers have told me that they these days walk and teach. they're teaching through the camera, but at least they gesture, it feels that they're in a classroom. And that technologies cannot get the same experience, but similar. And let me bring in Professor Joseph Thanikal, Dr. Thanikal, who's the Associate Dean and Director of the School of Construction, RICS, SPE. Let me tell you, Dr. Thanikal, that my entry in some way into media is because I used to be in real estate, and I wrote a piece on real estate education in 1997 for Economic Times, because I started teaching at the age of 26 or 25. I started teaching a course on real estate at Master of Finance and Control, Delhi University, and I remember I got 1,000 rupees for every session. It was a 14-session course I taught. I got 14,000 rupees and I gave it to my mother. I was single, and my mother bought a beautiful sari from that, and that's the only money I've given to my mother. But after that, neither she's asked me for anything, nor I've given her anything. But I did start my career in real estate, and there I say that I understand real estate education because I did teach a course at the age of 25 and continued to teach it for 2-3 years. I don't remember exact. So we would want your inaugural comments on what the education in your sector will look like post NEP and post COVID. Dr. Joseph Thanikal.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Anurag, for this opportunity. But nice to listen to your experience. But you didn't say the BMW that you bought. You said only about 14,000 rupees that you handed to your wife, so your mother. It looks interesting. Ours is a different kind of a B school, RICS School of Built Environment, and we are the first one to offer MBA program, which is in the field of construction management and the real estate management. So this concept of the school was, as an industry-driven school, and we did face little challenges while we, during this COVID situation and lockdown, going through our particular curriculum on online teaching. I would agree with Dr. Adya that, the change is inevitable, and then we need to look at how the changes can be looked upon. So one of the examples, as you said, what the challenge and the opportunity we have seen in this COVID situation in our own school, we have an 8-week summer internship, which is normally done at the industry, which was a great challenge for us during this COVID lockdown, where the students could not reach the industry. But we converted that into our desktop research. The research was along with the industry supervisor. Well, we did have an anxiety of how the students are going to accept this and how things are going to be done. But I should say that it was a great opportunity to realize that a summer internship could be converted into a desktop research. And today we've been very successful with the reports, the kind of reports and the research that have been made by the students. So that's one of the things that we have converted into an opportunity. And we have seen more that now we can definitely face the challenges. On the second side of it, just briefly on the curriculum, I don't say it's going to be on cloud, but definitely the curriculum is going to be, ours is an independent curriculum, and then we design by ourselves to satisfy the competency and the skills required for the industry.
Thank you so much. I think we request all of you to keep it to 2 minutes, otherwise I'll have to request you.
All right, I'm sorry. So we'll stop there.
Senior people, I don't want to do that with you. So the point I want to make is that, industries kind of interface with the business schools will go up to another level. Because let's say a school, you're still in the NCR, and my first 2 bosses were both RICS. So I know about RICS from 1996. In some way, I played a role in the entry of RICS into India. That's conversation another day. But I can claim to say that I taught the first course on real estate overall in India in 96. I think I taught the course, or 97, 96, 97. So we'll come back. The point you're trying to, RICS is about industry knowledge. It is the B school gives you 2 things. It gives you knowledge In second, it gives you placements. These are, I mean, I'm simplifying, it gives you much more. So it is about, so I think what is the impact in these two areas? You know, what kind of sectoral jobs will be in demand? What will happen to the CTCs in certain sectors? And most importantly, how is the learning changing if half of it will be off campus or some of it? And what are the curricula? So I want you to focus a lot on curricula and what do the teaching methodologies need to change? How is technology coming into play? What do the professors need to do? We did well at MDI because we had the best professors even in 94. I mean, I don't want to talk about my professors there. They were the best, okay? I have no doubt knowing all the professors, everyone is super good. So I want you to, because at the end of the B school is about learning and polishing. And the professors play a big role. Let me bring in Dr. Biswal. Dr. Biswal, your comments.
Okay, if you ask me, we are going through a transition. Now this transition will lead us to a complete overhaul of the system, or we are going to retain partially the traditional model and partially jump into a new technology. That's what I think of. If you ask me whether we are going to be online, offline, or on cloud, I will say that I see a future where we have to jump into a hybrid model of delivery when as far as B school education is concerned. Now, I will tell you why. Because microeconomic fundamentals are always guided by the macroeconomic fundamentals. Everyone knows, everyone will agree that the basics of economy of a country or a economy is the steel, cement, and the infrastructure sector. The more it grows, the more the economy grows, the more jobs it gets created. There are news now that IT companies have started not investing in the infrastructure platform because work from home is giving them the delivery and saving money, and they are getting, so some of the industries may shift, so that may look
but dare I say the quality of work from home is not the same.
Exactly. So
people who were self-motivated tend to do better from work from home or flexi working.
Correct.
So not everyone. And also, I have two young adult children. I can tell you that their learning is not the same. I mean, it may be close to what it was, but it's not the same. So I don't think
it cannot be same, Dr. Batra, because when you all of a sudden change the medium because of a compulsion, if you change it with choice, then you adapt it faster. But now all the changes are happening because of a compulsion. So when it happens because of compulsion, it will take a lot of time to adjust with it. Now, if you ask me as a B school, my experience is I couldn't feel anything because when the lockdown was announced, my batch was inside the college. So being a residential school and in a remote location like Harihar, we had no option to vacate them. So we kept them. So when we kept them, what to do? So we taught them. So the district authority came and asked us, so we put up an application. Until now, you will be surprised to know that we are physically running with a special permission from the district local authority. So, but when it comes to the next year, we have to start online. Right, so a situation came where half of the students are inside the classroom, half of the students are at home. So what to do? So then we came with the hybrid class system where we asked the professor to teach in the class online and connected it and started streaming it online. So both the offline and online started simultaneously. I see that's the kind of future
Thank you.
we are looking at. Because if we move to a virtual platform all of a sudden, what impact it will have on the core sectors and what it will impact the overall economy. That is point number one. Point number two, curricula. Yes, I agree. It is high time that these schools start collaborating with the industry more. That is one very big gap area as far as Indian school scenario is concerned. That is one learning we have to take. We should teach what industry wants us to teach to the students. We should not teach what we love to teach.
Okay, thank you so much. Dr. R.K. Jain, your opening comments.
Thank you, Anurag. Very good afternoon to the team BW and good afternoon to the esteemed panelists. Very interesting topic, and Anurag, thanks for inviting on thought experimenting of what business schools of future would look like. 5 years into future, 15 years into future, and all. It's only limited to our imagination. But one thing I look at for sure, and in fact the change has started a couple of years ago, is the entire architecture of the program of MBA, management education, whatever name you have. We have 6, 7 types of
I
management
call
program.
MBA much below average.
So no,
I am much below average.
we need to kind of break
That was the name of my column in the magazine. Sorry.
Right. So we need to break that part because we need to bring excellence into it, because that's what it started with. See, Anurag, what I look at is when management program was designed, it was designed in the industrial era to cater to basically the needs of industrial, segment, basically manufacturing and transportation, logistics. It was the dominant area. Now, in the last 50, 60 years, the world has moved. I mean, we are in a knowledge era and we're mostly service driven, technology driven. Now we're talking about digitization and so on. So the change was overdue, not by 1 to 5 years. It was overdue for last 2 decades rather. We didn't move forward. Now the crisis have made us, gave us time, or rather forced us to look at the change in the entire structure, as Adya started her comments with, is the entire program architecture, be it duration, be it program structure, be it curriculum delivery, and so on. So every aspect has to be redesigned now, rethought through, and then add technology to it, power booster with technology and all the digital might that has been rapidly being developed. Zoom 3 months ago and Zoom today is different. Now we are getting new platforms every day, and as Mr. Jain said from SP Jain ki, tomorrow we can actually have a simulated classroom where the eye contact and all can be enabled by AI in a much more seamless manner than what we are experiencing today. Today we still have our own challenges with technology and connectivity and stuff like that. I'm sure next 5 years we are going to reach to a place where technology would not be an issue at all. It is your creativity, how you want to deliver. So in terms of how the program would be, there would be short duration. If I have to make a thought experiment kind of statements, short duration, specialized, where the target would be depth of knowledge and breadth of application. More of immersive learning, experiential learning as delivery model. In fact, I see most of the prominent B schools, in fact, a couple of B schools have already started, including that of our Hyderabad campus at Symbiosis Hyderabad, is corporate sponsored experiential labs where they bring in the challenges and say, hey, let's work on these challenges, and you suggest as a solution and stuff like that. Now this is going to be the reconfigured business school of tomorrow. Has nothing to do with how many acres of campus you have, what kind of cynic beauty that you kind of use for your marketing and all. These schools of future would be more sharper, more focused, and more mapping with the industry requirement. That's my view to start with.
Thank you so much. At this point, let me bring in Dr. Anil Somani. Dr. Somani, your comments.
Thank you, Dr. Batra. The B schools of today were actually smug in what they were doing. But just like demonetization brought in digital payments into the Indian economy, COVID has actually thrust technology in the B schools of today. This technology even is going to stay in the post-COVID era. There is no doubt about it. But to what extent, what advantages it will offer, and what are the disadvantages or the challenges is what I think we should all apply our minds to. And when we do that, the important thing is that what is it that we actually want to do in a B school? What is it? What is the object or objective of our teachings to the students? And I remember when I talk to my students and I tell them, and it's a very common statement I make, that we are all victims of our decisions. And they ask me that, sir, what did you learn at IIM Ahmedabad? And I scratch my head and I think that, well, yes, what exactly did I learn? And then I tell them that it was basically the thought process for decision making that was honed and groomed over there in my 2 years at IIMA. And the background work behind that, the knowledge inputs, the soft skill developments, the networking, these are the things which, plus many more, which the B school wants to give to the students. And it is in the context of these, plus what the industry wants. Today, the B School graduates go out, and there is a whole lot of onboarding which every big corporate has. They have their own L&D departments. I think this is something which has to come to the B School, so that the corporates do not spend so much, do not take so much time and on L&D and on onboarding of the students. And in technology, basically what is actually the problem is the case discussion focus in B schools. And no matter how much of online we do, even with bringing in the virtual reality, and we find that there are issues with relation to that. We'll come to that when we discuss, but I think to start with, this is what I have to say.
Thank you so much for making such potent points that it is about, learning beyond what you learn in classroom. It's the mindset orientation. It's opening your, horizon to a lot of things which impact you eventually when you enter the corporates. And how do you bridge the gap between what corporates need and what B schools teach? Because B schools have become a filter, So how do you go beyond the filter? At this point, let me bring in Mr. Tripathi. Mr. Tripathi, your opening comments. Dr. Lakshman Kumar Tripathi, you'll have to unmute yourself, come onto the camera and do it. If you're tied up, let me invite Mr. Sharma, who's a professor at the Vijay Bhumi University. Mr. Sharma, are you there?
Thank you, Anuragji. Firstly, thank you very much for this opportunity to connect with this eminent panel and with equally distinguished audience. I quickly want to make 3 points as part of my opening remarks. The first thing is that if you ask me which are the top 3 casualties or which are the 3 most adversely impacted candidates of corona, I would put it in this order. Number 1, real estate. Number 2, judiciary, the process of judicial administration. And number 3, MBA degree or any other university degree. These are the 3 candidates which are worst hit out of this corona. My second point is the MBA degree so far has had 2 very critical disconnects. The first disconnect is that earlier the rate of change at which major disruptions were happening historically, they were happening somewhere at the rate of 100 years, then subsequently about 30 years, and then subsequently 4 to 5 years. And now the disruption can happen even at the rate of 6 to 12 months. So that's the first disconnect which the business education is failing to really envelop, understand fully, grasp fully. That's first thing. The second thing is, the learning must go beyond the classroom. It must be centered around problem solving. These are the two most important disconnects business education in our country is currently facing. Therefore, at Vijay Bhumi, what we are doing is we are bringing in liberal professional curriculum, which means exactly like Subway, the way you can choose your bread, choose your vegetables, choose your sausages, and craft your degree. That's one important change we are bringing at Vijay Bhumi University. And secondly, we know that the oil cannot be drilled at 100 feet. Therefore, you must go at 300 feet to drill the oil. Therefore, we are bringing convergence of more than one subjects so that students can really drill well and craft their degrees to be so-called gig economy ready. Over to you, Anuragji.
Beautiful comments. You're absolutely right that the gig economy is changing the way, millennials are looking at their careers, looking at what interests them, and they're looking at, we're in an experiential economy. Dare I say we're in a 3C economy, which is collaborative, compassionate, and contact lens. Dr. Tripathi, are you here? So let me now start with you, Mr. Sharma. You heard all of your panelists make their opening comments. Tell us what are you doing in your institution, and how will your institution become the business school of the future in the next 3-5 years? What are the changes we are likely to see in the IFIM business school?
Thank you so much.
I asked Mr. Sharma. I said, Mr. Sharma, I said, why start with one and the other? It's okay. Yes, Mr. Sharma.
All right. So what we're doing is that as a teacher, there are two central questions which I give to myself. Number one, what is the passion? My student must discover him or herself. That's the first question. And second question is, even if I know my passion, how do I, really prepare myself for the degree, for the career I am choosing to pursue? So these are the two central questions which I give myself as a dean, as a teacher. So therefore, what we do is both at the undergrad level and at the postgrad level, we make our students undergo a discovery year. Of course, the MBA degree is shorter, the bachelor's degree is 3 years. So therefore, the duration of the discovery duration is slightly different. But the first thing comes as part of the degree is discover yourself. You choose multiple courses from different baskets and discover yourself. And then, exactly like Subway, choose your majors and minors. For instance, just to give you a quick example, let's say if an employer is wanting to hire a digital advertising sales specialist. Now, which one specialization will really give you this? So we give our students a choice that, one can pursue majors in sales, minor in advertising, minor in communication design, and another major in data science. So this is the way you will craft your degree and be ready. So, but all of this has to be centered around self-discovery. Unless you know your strengths, you will not be excelling, you will not be securing your happiness and professional success, whichever way you look at. So that's the first main thing we are doing. You wanted to make a remark, Anurag?
No, I just wanted to say that the NEP also envisages an interdisciplinary approach. My kids are at a stage where they're deciding their career, and it's something that comes into play. I'm also on the board of MDI now, so I can tell you that that's something that we are looking at there also, and trying to catch up to the lost years in the last 5-6 years. I think so. You're absolutely right. We have to look at what is needed in the industry, and we look at in some way an eclectic business school that kind of brings the best of all worlds in parts of the. We have Dr. Lakshman Tripathi who's joined us. Dr. Tripathi, we could get your opening comments. You'll have to unmute yourself, Dr. Tripathi. By the way, unmute is the second most used word of 2020. The first is, of course, COVID. Dr. Tripathi, your opening comments.
Thank you. Good afternoon, all the panelists. My thinking is very simple. The students who join the management education in postgraduate level, most of them, if I divide them into two strands, most of them, they look for a good job in corporates, or they go for their entrepreneurial venture, or possibly they join the family business. Whether they look for a entrepreneurial venture, or if they join family business, or even if they look for a good job in corporates, all the three things matter. There is attitude, skills, and knowledge. When it comes to the challenges of learning all these three or transforming them in all the three fronts, there is attitude, skills, and knowledge. Real challenge lies in changing their attitude. When you are in classroom situation, you can see the kind of interaction which you take place, that personal touch part of it, that is missing on the digital platform. The other challenge in digital platform here in our Indian context, at least, most of the children are there at their home and in rural area, and connectivity is a big problem. So that is creating. Already we have started. My colleague from Harihar, Dr. Bishwal, is there. He'll endorse it. We have already started our teaching learning process. We have been really finding a lot of challenges in terms of really putting them together and seeing that they have been really delivered what they have been promised in terms of pedagogy. That is becoming really a very difficult thing. Yes, we need to change, no doubt about it. Change is inevitable. Dr. Ravi Jain told that time, yes, this should have come 15 years back, no doubt about it. But COVID has really taught us one thing good, that yes, there is a possibility. That we can always go to digital platform and exploit it instead of looking at it as a challenge. Can grab this opportunity. Give us better connectivity with global education systems, global universities, big corporates. We can get the people and they can interact with our students. They provide a good platform. What we have done over here in our institute, also I'd share with you in due course of time, but we have been exploiting this as an opportunity to get our corporate executives and interact with the students, and that has been really something much more interesting which has been happening.
We'll again come back to you, but we understand you are going.